Trying to be doing that bullshit. On to good news. Welcome back, BS with Brian Simpson. We're here.
You got so much energy just radiating off of yourself right now, Brian.
Still here from some reason. Just got back from Virginia, Richmond. It was actually pretty good. Best funny bone I've been to so far. Damn, there was something I wanted to talk about the whole way here, and now I can't remember what it was.
Wildfires in England?
Nope, I didn't know about that.
There's wildfires in England right now, and there's been thousands of deaths in, I believe, Spain and Italy. Because there's a heat wave going across pretty much all of Europe last week.
Oh, okay. So now they know what it's like to be in California. Now y'all don't have to keep visiting.
Well, all their buildings and shit are built in like the 1600s, you know?
So they should be good then, right?
No. They have no air conditioning. They have terrible insulation. It's meant to keep the heat in, you know?
Oh.
Because it used to be cold.
So they're fucked.
Yeah, they're fucked. So they're getting 40 degrees Celsius over there, which, what is that in Fahrenheit? That's 104 degrees in London.
Wow.
And like that's like in the shade. That's not, you know, in the fourth floor shitty apartment that you live in like the middle of downtown London.
I bet you the Queen's nice and cool.
I think she's doing okay.
Cucks. What a cuck move to have a queen. Anyway, you
hear that, Canada?
Huh?
I said, you hear that, Canada?
Oh, Canada has. Oh, well, I guess the Queen is technically the Queen of Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't have any real power over there.
Not really.
I guess she doesn't really have any power at all. Theoretically, right? I mean, actually, no. Theoretically, she could exercise. She chooses not to exercise any power because she doesn't want to lose just being a rich person.
Right.
She's the only rich person in the world that don't make no money.
She knows what side of the bread.
She don't make no money. Well, I guess she's not the only one. There's like the Saudi princes and kings and shit, and every other royalty.
Aren't they like one of the wealthiest families? Isn't the royal family of Great Britain one of the wealthiest families in the world?
Oh yeah, nowhere close to the Saudi royalty.
No, because they got oil money.
But imagine. Because how did that start? Imagine a motherfucker being like, I'm the richest because everything is mine. And people just went along with that. Like, everything belonged to me. That's the whole premise behind it. It's like all of England, Canada, and all these other places is hers. Why? No reason. She didn't win it in battle. That's what I feel like. I feel like the only way you should be able to be the queen, you have to win the throne in battle, in hand-to-hand combat.
They should just redo it because they used to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would love look if I ever, because you know, if you've been watching for a while, you know how I feel about the Queen. You know how I feel about the royal family. Period. But I would just love for someone to discover some kind of ancient scroll. Or some long lost, like you know how you read those articles or those books about like stupid laws that like are still on the books somewhere in America. You know, like you can't have an alligator in a bathtub after noon or some shit like that, and no one's bothered to like get rid of them. So technically, somebody could. You know what I mean? I want them to discover something like that in England, like a little scroll or something, where it's like, yo, if you manage to get close enough and you can slap the shit out the Queen, you're the Queen, or something like that. You know what I mean? Or if you can, like, you know, if you just...
She should always have her head on a swivel.
Yeah, if you can... the Queen had to take BJJ, dog. It's like, if you can make the Queen tap, you're the Queen. That's what it should be. But she might surprise you. We don't know what she's capable of.
Yeah, we all watch The Crown.
What's up under that dress? She's like 95 or something like that.
Something like that. She's in her 90s.
She's in her 90s. She's been the Queen for 70-some years. 71 years, if I'm not mistaken. She was 21 when she became queen.
She's 96 now.
She's 96 now. She's been the queen for 74 years.
Something like that. Let's see.
Yeah. Well,
when did she become?
Oh, 75. She said she's 94?
She became queen regnant at 25 years old.
Oh, 25.
Which was 1952. So She's been the queen for 70 years. Did you see that thing where they had the hologram of her in the carriage? The queen was sick, and everybody thought she was dead for a while.
She was sick?
Oh yeah, she was
I
sick.
thought this bitch never got sick.
No, everybody thought that she was dead because nobody had seen her for months. She had not been seen in public for months, and everybody was like, she's either dead or she's like in a coma or something, and they're not showing her. And then her, whatever it's called, the Platinum Jubilee or some shit like that, which is like the 70th anniversary of her ascent to the throne, was coming up. That was just recent. That they just recently had that, and everybody thought they were going to see the queen, and instead they trotted out this old carriage that has like gold and shit on it, and they had like a hologram in it, like the kind of shit you would see at a Disney ride, and it was of her at age 25. They like had turned a video of her into a hologram.
Yeah, it's like that's how you know you can't trust this bitch. It's because like, why don't you just give it up? It's like the country doesn't need it to be you. Pass it on. You 90-some. Pass it on. It's like, what you still good, right? Like if because she's been the longest reigning monarch.
I think so, yeah.
So at least she's definitely been the queen my whole life and my mama whole life, So I don't know what happens to the queen or the king if they abdicate, if they just give up. But I know they don't like kill them or like make them homeless and nothing like that. I think that maybe they get a castle or something and they just get to go over there and like just till they die.
They still have other titles besides queen,
right? But it's like why you gotta hold on to it? Just give it to the next person. And I think she's been the queen so long that the next person in line is old now.
Is it her son, Charles? Is he the next in line?
Yes, it's her son, yeah. Yeah, it's her son. Because it's definitely not. Well, her husband died. But it definitely wouldn't have been him.
He died last year, right?
Yeah, or maybe the
Philip.
Yeah, they all acted like this dude was some kind of. Like, I don't get this obsession with the royal family. Maybe that's just because I'm not British. Maybe it's something that just gets instilled in you from growing up there. But I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I think it reminds them of a time when people gave a shit about what they thought and what happened in that. It
reminds British people.
Yeah, it reminds British people of what it was like when they were on top.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe they look at it as something that like they have over the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's other queens and kings, but if you say the queen, it's England. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
to us, because we got our independence from Britain.
Well, right. No, but look, okay, unless you're in a country with a monarch or a patriarch, obviously, like, yeah, if you're in Saudi Arabia and you say the king, people gonna think you talk about the king. But if you're in a country that doesn't have a royal family and you say the queen, they Elizabeth is who people talking about. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But still, fuck her. But may she have good health, everlasting health. I hope that bitch is the queen when I die.
At a certain point, you just want to see how far she can go.
Well, the longer she is the queen, the more ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the function of that? Because this is what kills me. There are pro-queen people. There are royalists, is what they call them. And I just recently watched a video about the trial of... So this was them... maybe it'll be familiar to you if I say it, but the guy he started some bullshit war, and then to keep the war going, he made it illegal not to let him borrow money. And it kind of turned. Everything went bad. The people turned on him, and it created like almost a civil war. And they finally captured him, and they put him on trial.
King Charles I.
King Charles I. And so at this time, there was all people knew was what did they call it? So basically, there was no such concept as popular sovereignty, right? And so in other words, the idea that the ruler's power comes from the people was not something that anyone had thought of.
Mm-mm.
It was divine sovereignty. It was like, you're the king because God says so, and everyone believes in God, so we go by we go by it, right? So when they put him on trial, they try to charge him with treason, but that didn't make sense to people at the time because treason is against the king. You know what I'm saying? And so he fucked them up because he was like, by whose authority are you charging me with treason? And it took them a while to come up with it because it's we're used to it now. But just imagine having to think of the thing that nobody has thought of. You know, it's like when Isaac Newton invented algebra. You know, it's like
Calculus.
Oh, sorry, calculus. Yeah, what it's like you. Just imagine having to think of a thing that just has a thought that's never been thought. It's like that's what was going on, and they went through all this back and forth, philosophical debates, blah 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 blah. And when it came down to the vote. I'm gonna send you this video after this, but when you see how much it was like pulling teeth, when you see how much some of the same people that were all about capturing this motherfucker and putting him on trial, they were so afraid of the unknown that they were afraid to vote to convict him because they were like, well, if we convict the king, then what is there? You know what I mean? It's like they. So I don't know how to give a good analogy of it, but to me, it's like there's been bootlickers throughout all time. Like this dude literally ruined the country, stole everybody's money, started a bullshit war that half of their friends and family died in, and when it came time to punish this motherfucker, people were still afraid of his power.
I mean, we have the same thing today where, people still don't want to pack the court. And it's like, what are you waiting for? And for the people that are in power right now, even if they're sort of on the weaker side, right? If they're on the left, they're worried about packing the court because they have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo either way, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what trips me out about people being... so intensely political as if they're really two parties. And it's like there's one party for real. There's like, I guess the Democrats are just the slightly more liberal side of the right wing. It's the same bird, right? It's like there's really no leftist in government. I mean, maybe Bernie Sanders was, but that's about it. Like, there's no real left here. So it's weird to me that people will fight over political parties like it's like those people give a fuck about you. None of those people care about you. None of them. Even your favorite one, yes, them. They don't care if you live, die, starve, whatever the fuck. They living too good. I feel like Congress should be about suffering. That's the only way to keep people from seeking power for power's sake. Is like I always get shot down for this, but I like the Judge Dredd philosophy. If you ever watch Judge Dredd or read the comic books or whatever, it's like in the Judge Dredd universe, when you got finished being one of the, I forget what they called those people.
Magistrates?
When you get finished being a magistrate, which was like the highest thing, they gave you a gun and sent your ass out in the desert. You didn't get the profit from it. You just had to go die afterwards. And for some people, that's
Chief Judge. That's what it's called. It's called Chief Judge.
That's a calculation you got to make, right? Is, will I sacrifice everything to be in power for a long time? Some people would. But it's like these people that go to Congress now, they don't have to sacrifice nothing. They don't lose anything. They all just get rich. They go there and get rich off of, I forget, like Nancy Pelosi tried to act like she wasn't invested in the semiconductor stock. Like, oh yeah, I just have other people, but I don't pay attention to it. It's like, really, y'all believe these motherfuckers?
Other people like your husband,
right? Your husband is oh yeah, but we don't talk about work when we. Oh yes, you do, bitch. We saw you in the hair and getting your hair did during the pandemic. That's the other thing. All of them did it. Like all these politicians all they all make rules for you that don't apply to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm like me and you agree on this. I'm all about the Second Amendment,
Sure.
And it's like, but it's like, conservatives want everybody to have guns, but not near them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a gun around one of them motherfuckers. They like, oh no, you come to the rally, you gotta keep the gun in the car. You know what I'm saying? And then liberals claim they don't want nobody to have guns, but then they surrounded by people with guns to protect them. From who? From you. Without a gun. That's what they want. So I feel like all these people, like I think you're being misguided. You need to go out and get you a motherfucking pistol at the very least. And go to the range and learn how to use it, learn how to clean it, learn how to load it, learn how to shoot it. Learn all the safety rules. Yeah, get it in. Every American should have a gun. No, not everybody. Everybody I love should have a gun. Everybody I care about should have a gun. At least one gun.
Everybody that I want to have a gun should have a gun.
Right. Everybody that I deem worthy of weaponry should have a weapon. Some of y'all, hey, listen, everybody should be armed. Not everybody deserves a gun. Some of y'all need to learn how to sword fight or something. That's just as intimidating, but it's just a different thing. You can't just accidentally, kill somebody with a sword. You can't. Maybe you could. But I don't know. Because some people have a hard time wrapping their head around like how you can be philosophically liberal but also be pro guns. Because I'm not a ridiculous person. I'm not one of these people that's like that. I'm so reactionary that I'm like, I want everybody to have access to every kind of weaponry. I don't think a farmer needs to have a tank.
Mm-hmm.
Or a grenade launcher. I don't know what you need a grenade launcher for. To hunt? I don't know. So I don't think that's the deal. But it's like, but for real, listen. All I know is this. Especially like when it comes to the police violence in the black community specifically. What I know is that when you're known, armed, and organized, the cops behave. That's what I know. Like, when you see these biker gangs and shit having these rallies, it don't matter how hard we get. It's like when the cops show up, they be calm. They be negotiating. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's footage and pictures of the Black Panthers running up in the state capital of California, which is what led Ronald Reagan to be strict on guns in California, which is, a whole other thing. But it's like, but none of them got shot. You know what I'm saying? It's 40 niggas with rifles. It's like, you gonna start a shootout or you gonna be a reasonable person? It's that gray area that it's like, oh, you might have a gun. That's the shit. But if you definitely got a gun, people tend to negotiate. Mm-hmm. If they know for a fact you got a gun and you know how to use it and you know your rights and all of that, you're less likely to be harassed or have your rights violated. It's still gonna happen, because racism is still racism. But I just mean, people gonna approach you with a whole different attitude. So that's just me. I feel like you crazy as shit if you don't have a weapon right now in this day and age. You rolling the dice. You living in the should world. Oh, I should be able to just well, you can't. You can't. And there's a certain calmness that you can move through the world with when you know that you're armed.
True.
There's a certain, there's a certain you get that cocaine confidence when you got a pistol in the holster, and you know how to use it.
That's the key. That's an important element of it.
That is the key, because when back in the military days, we used to have to repeat all kind of wild shit and remember it, and and recite it on the spot when challenged and all of that. And it was all kind of like, all your general orders and, the specs and of shit, maximum effective ranges and voltage tolerances and all of this shit I had to know. And I thought I would never forget that shit because I said it a million times and I forgot all that shit except the safety rules for guns. Because I think that was actually beat into me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like...
There's also some muscle memory for being able to still shoot. Even if you take some time off. I think.
I mean, but back then it was mostly rifles. I didn't really get to shoot pistols till I was on the range.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at the range for a little while, and I got to shoot pistols out there, which was awesome. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's very clear, and when you follow them, nobody gets hurt.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah. It's very simple. It's basically just telling you to be smart. It's like assume every weapon is loaded. Treat every weapon as loaded.
Yeah.
Right. Never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. Keep your finger straightened off the trigger until you're ready to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your weapon on safe until you intend to fire. Those are the ones. That was it. And it was like, if you follow all those rules, nobody should get shot by mistake.
Right.
Right. And it's like, you see, motherfuckers. That's why, like, some of the TV shows be killing me because it'll be like some professional killer or whatever, and they'll what up and their finger be just resting on the trigger. I'm like, no, nobody does that. Nobody would do that. Yeah.
Especially not like some trained super sniper from the Jackal or whatever.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Because honestly, I feel like the first rule is the main one. If you follow that one, the rest of them kind of don't matter. I mean, what I'm saying is, if I could only give you one rule, no, that's not true. I guess the second rule: never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot.
The way I always heard it phrased is never point a weapon at anything you don't intend to destroy.
Oh, right. Well, some people say destroy. Yeah, but I think we said shoot.
I think when I was a kid, they beat it into our heads with destroy because you see on TV people get shot in the shoulder and they're like, fine, they have a sling in the next scene, and it's like, no, if you shoot somebody, they're fucking dead. If you shoot
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, like bullets, it doesn't matter if it's just a 22. Like, no, bullets will destroy anything that you aim them at.
Honestly, man, a 22 can fuck you up the worst.
Yeah.
From the right range, because that shit'll fucking bounce around in you. It's not strong enough to break bone, so it'll just bounce through your soft tissue.
Yeah, it doesn't have to blow a giant fucking hole in and out to kill you.
Nope. Next thing you know, you're shitting in a bag for the rest of your life. Anyway, but yeah, muzzle awareness and all that. But we digress big time. How do we go from what were we talking about? That's what I should call the podcast. What were we talking about?
What were we talking about? Well, we were talking about the heat wave, but we can move on to
move on to the Queen. Oh, actually, I wanted to definitely hit on this today. Remember that shit? Did you see that shit I sent you with the foster care lady? So this woman is suing. These motherfuckers might owe me some money, goddamn. Oh, here it is. It's an NPR article. Decades after foster care, she learned she was owed benefits. Where did the money go?
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the gist of it is that basically this woman, Kathy Stoles Silvis, 45 years old. I'm sorry. It's been almost 45 years since she was in foster care in Pennsylvania. So basically her and several other people learned that for whatever reason, they were due benefits as foster children, whether that be Social Security benefits. They were due Social Security benefits or from injuries or people dying, or like one of the people's dads was in the military, he died, they had a pension coming. And basically their child protective services filed to be I forget what the term is they used in here.
Like the beneficiaries?
Right. The beneficiary, that's not what they called it. It's something benefit, but hold on. Their representative payee. So Basically the government, this government agency that takes care of foster kids filed to be their representative payee so that they were collecting their Social Security benefits and did not inform them. So they were just spending the money. And even beyond the age of 18 when they were adults, no one told them, and these organizations are just taking their fucking money. This was 45 years of her Social Security benefits down the fucking drain. And here's the wild shit. Who does she sue? If she sues the agency and it bankrupts them, then that fucks over all these kids. So maybe she has to sue the state government.
What the fuck?
It's insane. This is infuriating. If you're not familiar with my story, I was a foster kid, and I'm telling you, you want to talk about the most vulnerable and marginalized group of people are foster children. Because take any other damaged and marginalized group, and there's a foster kid that's in that group. Mm-hmm. It's made 10 times worse because you don't have as much agency as a normal child would, and you're, because the state is your parent, you're a ward of the state, and so it's basically, it would be like if a company owned you. It would be like if a soulless corporation was your father. You know what I mean?
And I think we need to execute these people. That would be justice. We need to execute the people who signed the papers that took this money from these kids. This is a lot of money.
Oh.
This is like $700, $800 a month, starting when kids are like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's bullshit, and I like where your mind went there. Execute, okay. So we agree on that, but let's talk about how we should execute them. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, because I say hit them with the icy hot. I want to have them sitting in an ice tub with their hands in pots of boiling water. So they just feeling it. They feeling all the sensations from both sides until they fucking pass out and drown.
Not a bad idea,
right?
I'm down with that one.
I say hit them with the Tang Torture and sew their assholes closed, and keep feeding them and feeding them.
What about that one where they put the pot upside down on your stomach with like the rats in it, and they slowly heat up the pot so the rats have to dig through to get out?
Oh, dude, no. We go straight ancient on them. We hit them with the trial of the boats, right? This is what you...
the two boats going in opposite direction?
No. That's too quick. No. What you do is you tie them down to a boat. You smear their body with honey, and then you cover them with another boat upside down, and then you push them out to sea, and slowly but surely the flies will start landing on them and planting eggs. Before you know it, it'll be billions of the motherfuckers eating them alive because they're the only food out there once the honey gone.
That sounds
it'll take them weeks to die.
That sounds about what they deserve.
Yeah. But now that leads us to the next question. We've decided they need to be dealt with. We've decided how. Now, who is the real question? Who is responsible? Why is this practice even allowed? This should go to the Supreme Court. You're stealing money from foster children, you fucking wicked demons. You're stealing money from foster children. Holy fuck. Now listen, some states really look out for their foster children. California is pretty good. They'll take care of you for a decent amount of time. I think you always get to go to state schools for free, which which is pretty cool. I don't know. They didn't do that in Maryland. I mean, they would pay for your school till I think you were 21 or something like that. But they should do it for life, because that's the thing. You take the advantage you have from having rich parents, right? Compared to a motherfucker that has middle class parents, right? That big of a gap. And when I say advantages, I mean your ability to fail and recover, your ability to go back home and get your shit together, your ability to call mom and go, can you pay my rent just this month? Can you get my car note? Can you get my insurance? Can you get my that, right? Take that much of an advantage, and then now kids with poor parents have that much of an advantage over foster kids, because they don't have parents. They can't call, like, if once they hit 18 or 21, depending on where you are, and you get sent out into the world, you don't get to come back home. There's no home. Now some do. Some people maintain a relationship with their foster parents, and some foster parents will treat you like one of their children and let you. But most of these kids, once you grown, that you on your own. You're only bonds with other fucking kids. You can't afford the powerful medications you've been on for 10 years. It's real serious out here. You can't move back home. You can't ask for no motherfucking money. You're probably statistically going to be homeless, in prison, have an STD, have a child young. All of the life-altering, ruining, progression-stopping things are more likely to happen to you. And then you're 60 and you find out that for 45 years they've been stealing your fucking money. I'm telling you, if this lady ran up in a government office and fucking blew that motherfucker up, I would pardon her. I would sign the petition. That would, if
jury nullification.
Because I'm about to look into it. I don't know if I was owed any money or nothing like that.
Apparently there's a class action lawsuit in Alaska.
Hey, look here. If I find out these motherfuckers been stealing money from me, it's gonna be a fucking problem.
You were in the system in Maryland, right? So,
yeah, I was in the system in Maryland. But they told me the same thing they told her. So years ago, I had a crazy story that I was just writing my story, and I was trying to, like, when I started comedy, I also started doing like live storytelling, and I was trying to write this story of a time when I was in foster care, and I was trying to get a hold of my records, you know, and they were saying, they told me that, oh, sorry, we can't get it to you, we can't share it with you, you know, and it's like, wait a minute, why not? Like, yeah, it's just private information. We can't share it with you. It's like, then why you have it? Who the fuck get to look at it? If I don't,
why do you even keep it?
Yeah, why you keeping the records of who's it for then? If I can't read it,
that's a really good point. My grandmother was given up for adoption when she was a baby, and she tried forever to try to get the information on, you know, who had given her up and all that kind of stuff, and she couldn't get it because it was a Catholic organization, and they were like, no, it's private, and I guess it's just for the Pope to know.
Yeah, sometimes that's his porn. Sometimes the Pope just walks through the archives and looks at all the adopted kids, all their folders. He's like, yeah, these were all abortions that didn't happen, whatever. Yeah,
these are all wins in his book.
Yeah, this is infuriating to me, which leads us, good segue, Rob, which leads us to the article I actually sent you, which was, I actually don't remember what it was about, but I remember if I ever text it to you, that means it's insane. So this is from Christianity Today, you know, the popular news source. Fantasy role-playing is hurting America, by Russell Moore. He thinks video games. Now, look, you guys know where I'm going with this. See, this is one of those weird places where extremists. See, this is what I don't like about. I mean, this is what I think people need to understand about the political spectrum. Because I think a lot of times, falsely, and I blame Centrum, the vitamin company, Centrum CM, for the visual. Because I think some people hear the word spectrum and they think it's a straight line. You know, and because we go left, right, they hear left and right, and they think that it's a straight line, but in reality, it's a circle, or at least it's curved that way, because the extremists on the right and the extremists on the left, they sure do agree about a lot of things.
It's called horseshoe theory.
Oh, I didn't just make that up?
No.
Damn, I thought I was way more brilliant. Horseshoe theory.
Horseshoe theory, the idea that it curved around.
I just independently discovered. But yeah, someone invented it, right? But this idea that role-playing games specifically, games that allow you to live a fantasy, are hurting America. He says, so he goes, as a kid in the 1980s, I heard dire warnings from my evangelical elders about the fantasy role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. What warnings did you hear
That's the satanic panic stuff.
Right. It's like, only Druid is for experts. Although I never played D&D, I didn't take these admonitions all that seriously, because I reasoned that the same logic could be applied to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings or Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. Now in the 2020s, I'm wondering if my evangelical elders weren't partly right about the way fantasy role-playing can paganize a culture. Just now, guys, y'all know what paganism is. It's belief in multiple gods. That's what a pagan is. It's somebody that believes there's more than one God. That's it. So I don't know how.
It's the Christian word for infidel.
Well, okay, true. Christians have used it as a curse word, but so I guess they mean not Christian, right?
Yeah.
But I guess no, because I guess that would because they don't look at atheists as pagans. A pagan is somebody that worships another.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think so.
To a Christian.
Growing up Catholic, the way that I heard pagans referred to was, or the way that I heard the term pagan used was essentially an umbrella term for the religions that were practiced by pre-Christian peoples before Christianity came to them. So, for instance, like Norse mythology would be considered paganism.
Or the Roman gods.
Or the Roman gods would be considered paganism, because it was sort of like what all these stupid savages had before Christ came into their lives.
So, wow, this article takes a twist. In this month's Atlantic, Jennifer Senior explores a similar thought in relation to nationalist political strategist, right-wing media personality Steve Bannon, who is currently indicted on charges of contempt of Congress regarding his alleged role in the January 6th insurrection. Putting aside what I think about Bannon himself, I was struck by one section of the article that explains much of what's happening in America right now. Senior points to a 2018 documentary to which Bannon explains to a filmmaker how when working in the internet gaming industry, he was surprised to learn just how many people are devoted to playing multiplayer online games. Uh-oh, slippery slope. I mean, you know what? I guess World of Warcraft is some people's god.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're devoted to World of Warcraft the same way some people are devoted to their church. You know, they give them well over 10% of their money.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Although you can play Final Fantasy 14 all the way up to level 60 without paying a single cent.
Yeah, but that's how they get you.
I know. Yeah.
The game don't start till you hit level 60.
You can't play a Gunbreaker at level 60.
Bannon interprets this intensity through the grid of a hypothetical man. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna. This is really, really long. It's amazing that he has so much to say about it, and I just. Here's where I'm at now with it. Just my overall philosophy is like. It, you know, again, if you've watched the podcast, especially from the very beginning, like from the audio only days, you know that I struggle with cynicism because I know that that's not the healthy or productive way to operate, to move through the world, right? Because, you know, there's no benefit to cynicism. It just gives you it's an escape hatch, right? It's But I go back and forth because shit like this makes me go, we're doomed. It's like cynicism is just my way of going, what's the point in trying? So it's like my excuse to not try.
It's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism, but it's also like, I'm still trying. I'm still out here working and living and trying to make money and trying to buy things and trying to live life. So I can't really truly believe that all hope is lost. Because if you really thought that, then jump off a bridge, right?
Have you read Camus?
Who?
Albert Camus. He wrote The Stranger. He wrote The Myth of Sisyphus. He's a absurdist.
Myth of Sisyphus.
Myth of Sisyphus. You know Sisyphus from Greek mythology?
Yeah, pushing the rock up the...
Yeah. So...
let's tell the audience. Sisyphus was cursed by the gods. Mm-hmm. I forget what he did. He tried to fuck Zeus.
So he died. He died, and he basically tricked his way out of hell. He was a king, and I think it was a Tyrian king, and he went to hell, and then he tricked his way out. In certain stories, he tricks Hades, and other ones it's Demeter. Like it depends on which version you read. But anyway, he goes back to Earth, and he just starts living it up because he's like, yo, Hades fucking sucks. Like that place is dog shit. Like here we have sex and we have drugs and we have food and we have wine and we have all these fucking awesome things. So he just lives it up, and he gets caught. And when he gets caught, he goes back to Hades, and they're like, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to live. You're not allowed to live a second time. So as your punishment, you're going to roll this boulder up a hill, and every time you get to the top, it's going to roll back down, and you got to go back down and roll it back up. And you have to do this forever. And Camus was an absurdist philosopher. So he comes out of like an existentialist tradition.
Did he go, why not just refuse to push the boulder?
Well, the idea is that we're all Sisyphus. So Camus goes into the three, like once you realize that we're all Sisyphus rolling this boulder up the hill and it doesn't really mean anything and life doesn't really have any meaning to it. Because like the same idea, you could say the same thing to you, like, okay, well, you recognize that cynicism is a valid reaction to the way that the world is, the injustice of it, the unfairness of it. Why don't you just jump off a bridge? Yet you persist, right?
Right.
Yet you persist.
Yet I persist.
So he says, you know, he and I'm not going to do justice to it. Everybody should read The Myth of Sisyphus. I think it's a fantastic book. It's not a long read. You can read it in an afternoon. But Camus basically looks at three different, you know, once you realize how ridiculous and absurd life is, you have three options. You can either kill yourself, and he goes into why that's not a very good option. And it's not just because like, oh, because you shouldn't kill yourself. It's like he has an actual argument for that. You could be a positive nihilist, like an existentialist, and you could just decide, well, the meaning of life is whatever meaning I give it, and then you kind of adopt a religion and just...
I mean, you can be a positive nihilist?
Yeah, a positive nihilist is somebody who believes that there is no inherent meaning in life, but that we can ascribe meaning to life.
I think that's what I already... Have you seen the documentary Examine Life?
No.
So it's obviously
well, let me say the third option before we move on to that, because the third option is to live an absurd life in spite of the absurdity of it. Engage with the absurdity of it, embrace the absurdity of it. And that's why he talks about Sisyphus, and he says we have to imagine that Sisyphus is happy. That would be the most rebellious thing that Sisyphus could do, is roll that boulder up the hill and just be like, this is fucking awesome.
Just fucking love it.
Just fucking love it. Love every fucking moment of it.
No, because I feel like the most rebellious thing he could do is just not push.
Well, you know, let's go into this Examine Life thing, but we'll you should read it and then we'll talk about it. I think you'd love The Myth of Sisyphus.
Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, so...
Well, tell me about this Examine Life.
It's a documentary by this lady named Astra Taylor, and they go into she goes all around the country or all around the world maybe interviewing philosophers. Mm-hmm. It came out in 2009.
Cool. Oh, we got some heavy hitters in here.
Maybe. Oh, well, yeah. Zizek in there, Cornel West, Judith Butler, Kwame Anthony.
Hell yeah.
Michael Harp, and Peter Singer. But Judith Butler, I'm almost positive that's who it was. Judith Butler. So she goes around the country and she asks all these philosophers one question or about one thing. They speak about one thing. And I think Cornel West talked about truth, and I forget what Zizek talked about. He ended up getting his own documentary with Astra Taylor, but Judith Butler talked about meaning. And it's one of the ones that I remember very, very, very vividly. But she kind of goes along, because you got to hear her talk about it, but she talks about like how we're the only creatures that ask that question. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The dog, you see two dogs playing, neither one of them is thinking about what it means. Two humans look at two dogs playing and go, what does that mean? It's like, it doesn't mean, why does it need to mean something? It just is. And I think that's the hardest thing for humans to accept. But we really are the only creatures that we know of that have to think about what things mean. That to the point, to our detriment, whereas like sometimes we're paralyzed by the search for meaning when meaning itself is meaningless. Right.
Carl Sagan talked about that a lot. I think Carl Sagan's one of the.
So maybe the need for meaning is a byproduct of intelligence. We just lost half the audience. Actually, you know what? I gotta stop. I gotta give our audience more credit.
Yeah.
I think we have smart listeners. There's no dumb people subscribing to this podcast, right? I feel like, and
if they are, fuck them.
I don't like you. In fact, I want you to not listen. If you're stupid, and what do I mean by that? Stupid is not you don't know things.
That's ignorance.
That's ignorance. And we're all ignorant to some degree with relation to whatever issue.
You can fix ignorance.
Right, you can fix ignorance. Stupid is your lack of capacity for intellectual growth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like if I talk to you today and I don't see you for 5 years, and I run into you and you still on the same shit, you stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts that you haven't learned anything. Actually, you know what? Before we get out of here, let me make sure I don't forget to address the write-ins.
Yeah.
Oh God. So first of all, dude, so I was a guest on Potter's podcast.
Yeah.
And I said something about people sending in beats, and I got like a shitload of beats.
Fuck yeah.
Some from Griffin Parker, some from Justin Smith, some from.
We'll use them on this episode.
There's one of them I liked in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use that one, but you know what? I think I might actually end up doing is. You know what? You want to do a giveaway?
Sure.
Let's do it.
What should we give away?
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
But next week we're going to announce the giveaway. And this is for the spitters. I'm gonna use this beat. So we're gonna give the dude that sent me the beat that I picked, we're gonna give him the same thing we're gonna give the winner. But I think I want everybody I want all the spitters to spit a hot 16 to the beat this guy sent me.
Okay, cool.
I would just like to know. I would just like to know how many MCs are listening to this. But I'm talking out of my ass. It might be this week, it might be next week. I'm got a lot of shit going on. But it's gonna come soon.
To be determined.
Right, to be determined. So besides the beats, the only advice question I've gotten. And again, if you would like, I am the advice champ from your mom's house. If you would like advice, questions, comments, concerns, email me at BSwithBrianSimpson@gmail.com. Only email me because I'm not gonna answer. Because here's the thing, I read 90% of the messages I get. I can't respond to all of them. Because I tried to do that before, and it got to the point where like it was just taking up hours and hours and hours out of my day, and I just don't have the time to do that. So look, if you want to, so my point is, I will definitely read every email, but I won't definitely read and reply to every DM. You know what I mean? So or a comment or whatever. I just can't. I'm not gonna do that. So email me if you want advice. Not that I haven't seen your question, probably, but if I answer you, then everybody gonna stop. Okay. Follow the rules. No. So this guy is Will. He says, I'm not asking for advice or asking a question. Really, Will? I know Brian loves the aspect of revenge and vengeance in movies, novels, real life, and whatever else. That is true. You do know me. He claims to be a big fan of it, and I'd like to recommend a movie called The Northmen. Did I just watch that?
Yeah, that just came out.
He'd absolutely dig this movie where the entire premise and plot is about revenge. It's based on the old Norse tale Hamlet. Big love. Wait a minute. Hamlet is a Norse tale?
Yeah.
That's not Shakespeare.
Well, Shakespeare based it off of a story that had already existed. In the same way he based,
everything.
Julius Caesar off of, he had historical pieces and he also had stuff that he made up. A lot of people don't realize that Hamlet was actually a semi-historical.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just watched The Northmen, and because here's the thing, I'm not just, I don't just like the story of revenge, but it's still got to be a good story. Revenge is just an element that'll suck me in. And I did like The Northmen. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. That's only because it was beautiful. It was beautifully shot, especially. Actually, I haven't watched it on my new TV. Maybe I'll do that next. But I was a little disappointed. I don't want to ruin anything for anybody.
Would you recommend it though?
Yes.
You think people should watch it?
I would recommend people watch it. Yeah, for sure. It's not like I didn't get to the end and go, oh man, fuck that. I can't get it. No, it wasn't a bad movie. I just thought there were
there's room for improvement.
There were parts of the story that could have been better told. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm thinking about the right movie. Was this the joint where the dude it starts off with the dude's brother coming back from combat?
No.
And the wife smiles at him real quick.
Are you thinking of the movie with Tobey Maguire and Jake Gyllenhaal? Northman came out this year.
Right. Yeah. And the opening scene.
Oh yeah.
The king comes back from war.
Yeah, it's got Alexander Skarsgård is basically Conan O'Brien. Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, the king. I know the king comes back from war, greets his wife, and then the brother comes back after him. Yeah, and him and the wife got a thing going on. Right?
That's Hamlet.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I did watch it. It was cool, and I've seen the story of Hamlet told a bunch, and this is probably my it's in my top 3 Hamlet retellings, especially since I've never read the original Hamlet. I think I find Shakespeare so boring. Okay, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this because I just harped on people being stupid, but I just watched. I also watched. Did you see the Denzel Washington
Macbeth?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's I am not a fan of people talking like Shakespeare in movies. Mm-hmm. Because again, look, if Shakespeare based his shit off an old story, then you can put your shit in English, and have it be just as good. I don't understand this need to be like, oh, art fort thou. Like, what the fuck is that? Nobody understands that. There's a handful of people that enjoy that way of speaking. And if you get a good linguist, you don't lose the poetry of it. Because I get it. It's like they stick to that shit because there's a poetry to it. But for real, you to me, y'all are like these people that like pretend like, they can tell an expensive wine from a cheap one. They go, yes, there's notes of. You full of shit. There's no way.
We studied it. We know that you're full of shit.
Because I went and saw Macbeth with my homegirl that loves Shakespeare. And if she wasn't with me to explain certain shit, like I would have still followed the plot of what was going on. But it was like, why they talking like this? Just talking English. I don't understand the preference to speak in Shakespearean English. It ruins it for me. So it's like I love the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet, right? Mm-hmm. They ain't talk like that.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Yeah. They had they used this. They just updated the setting, but they spoke.
Oh, right. It was some modern shit. Yeah.
Still. Well, but good example would be like West Side Story, right? West Side Story is beat for beat Romeo and Juliet, but they update it to
modern times.
Modern times.
It's one of the greatest movies.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. It's like, I don't get it. If it's a good story, it's a good story. You don't got to be all on that who forthwith and all that shit. Don't nobody talk like that. Is this?
What about a movie like My Own Private Idaho? Isn't that's an adaptation of a Shakespeare?
I don't know.
One. I feel like there was a bunch in the 90s and like the early 2000s that were basically adaptations of, like, for instance, 10 Things I Hate About You, which is like a teen movie, is basically Taming of the Shrew, but just updated to modern day and made into a teen date movie.
Oh, see, that's the other thing too. I don't like it when they tell me it's Shakespeare.
I don't think they did it with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very obviously. I mean, if you know the story, you're like, okay, this is Taming of the Shrew. But
yeah, I mean, tell me a story that can't be told without talking like that. That's my point. They do it for, it's like a snobby, they do it to like be snobby about it. Because the whole time I was just like, because some of the stuff don't even make sense. Like, because I put it to like this. I could watch a movie in any other modern language and without even understanding the language, still know exactly what's going on just by the tone of things and blah, blah, blah. But the Shakespearean language is closer to English than a lot of those other languages. But it's so distracting. I don't know, man. Like, because Denzel Washington, all I could tell was he acting his ass off. But I couldn't tell how, like, it was, I don't know, man. It was just, it would have been a great movie if it had been in English. English, modern English. Even
American.
Even the Queen's English.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, man, Shakespeare, like I'm telling you, look, hey, Hollywood people, if I'm ever, and I probably won't be, but if I'm ever in like a Jordan Peele position where I can make movies and make more, and don't even bother sending me a script that's talk like that. Because I'm gonna laugh. Not only am I gonna laugh at you and reject it, but I'm gonna tell everybody else to laugh at you and not. You'll never work in this town.
I will destroy you.
You'll never work in this town again. No, I don't know, man. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not as sophisticated as I think, but I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in making a movie, making the dialogue needlessly complicated for the sake of what? Sticking to Shakespeare. I don't get it. And look, Shakespeare wasn't that great of a person. I don't think he wrote all of those things. I think he stole most of it. Is that a story that's another podcast, huh?
Yeah.
I think he stole most of it. I think Shakespeare was the Elvis of
Ooh, okay. That's a good,
of those times. He stole those stories from people that didn't have the means to do anything about it.
He was the Thomas Edison of writing.
I mean, look, think about it like this. Nobody in history, the most brilliant minds in history, how many of them got 20 hits. Nobody is that prolific. Nobody has 20 just masterpieces. Not Beethoven, not not Martin Scorsese. No genius in the history except Shakespeare is just home run, 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 home run. Come on, he's stealing from people, man. What we talking about? Fuck
It's also, I mean, even if you talk to Shakespeare historians, they come to fisticuffs over which versions are authoritative, and the whole sections, whole plays got rewritten in large aspects from throughout the different times that they were staged. So
yeah, I wish a Shakespearean would run up on me. See me, nigga. Anywhere I'm at on the road, and you a Shakespearean, you got beef with what I said, come holler at your boy. I will put hands and feet on you, boy, like E Honda and Chun-Li at the same damn time. I'll fight over this. Maybe I'm not that serious about it, but I will be. Like if somebody approached me really angry. By the way, these are two. Okay, I got to address these two things. Wait a minute, did I answer his question?
He didn't have a question. He just suggested that you watch The Northmen, which you've already seen.
Yeah, which I have. Yeah, and it was great. Thank you for the recommendation. I'll take the other revenge recommendations, but.
Also, if you have any stories from your own lives about revenge, feel free to send them in.
Oh, hit me with a story about revenge. We can make that a whole segment.
Yeah.
And we can use one of the songs to transition to the segment. Send me your stories about revenge. Send me your obscure Black history stuff, because people have been asking me why I don't do that anymore. And I do it. Well, I haven't done it in a while. But it was just back when I was doing all the research on my own, it was just very depressing. Because every story, because I used to do, before we were doing video, I used to do a Black history segment, right? And it was like, no matter how great the story was, it would always end with like racism. And it was just depressing to be sitting in a dark room. Because I was recording in my bedroom, like under a blanket, so I didn't fucking get having the outside noise. And I would just be sitting in the dark reading about like somebody whose dreams were ruined or snatched. I don't know.
This person did this great thing, and then they were immediately murdered.
Yeah, so send me all of that. Now, so I got to tell you, people this weekend two things happened. One, this lady walked up to me after the show, and she was like offended by something I said, and I was like, lady, I'm just saying what's funny. Like, it ain't even about you. In fact, I didn't even know who she was until she walked up to me. Like, she was in the back. Like, I just heard her voice, and I made fun of her voice. Mm-hmm. And then she walked up to me after the show, and I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And then she pointed at her husband, like almost like, so you gonna let this slide or whatever? And it's like, and I just walked away from her. I was like, don't do that.
What was she mad at?
She was mad because I made fun of her.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying?
Like crowd work?
Yeah,
oh.
I mean, she probably had a couple too many.
Okay,
and she was having some kind of interaction with the server, and it was loud, and her voice just cut through the room at the time when I was like, this happens a lot, where there's a, because I have a lot of pauses and and sometimes it's like at the wrong moment, it's like her voice just cut through the silence and ruin the timing and all that. So I started making fun of her voice. And it's like, bitch, look, if you had a comedy show, you gonna get made fun of probably. Or you could shut the fuck up. Right? You don't get to control the content. That's what some people don't get. It's like when you go to the movie is already made. You don't get to decide what happens in the scenes and shit. Well, at least not nowadays. Not until maybe 10 years from now. But it's like when you come to the comedy show, you don't get to decide what's in the show. Your options are, and I'll say this till I die, your options are to laugh, don't laugh, or leave. That's it. Anything else that happens, you either at the wrong show or you don't got a sense of humor, that ain't got shit to do with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm glad that her husband wasn't aggressive, because I didn't want to have to fight nobody. But I will throw hands, nigga. If you try to attack me over some comedy, just don't do it. Don't do it while I'm on the road. Listen, I don't have my pistol in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? But I got these hands, and I got about 2 or 3 ass whoopers to give before my shoulder go out, probably. But that's neither here nor there. It's like, but look, don't approach comics. Just go home. Go home and never come see me again. That's all you gotta do. Just don't buy no more tickets. Don't tell your friends I'm funny. Just leave. If you that upset, just leave. Anyway, I don't know if this is a symptom of where I was headed, or the fact that like that I flew on American, because I normally fly on Delta because it's LA Hub. But every now and then, especially nowadays when like flights are all crazy, sometimes I gotta just go with another thing. And I flew on American this weekend to, boom, and for whatever. So there's 4 flights, right? There's here. It was a connecting flight to Charlotte, and then a flight to Richmond, and then back to Charlotte and back to LA, right? So on 3 of those flights, right? On 3 of those 4 flights, two of these happened to me, and one of them I saw happen right in front of me to someone else. But so now on Delta, which is what I mostly fly on Delta, it's not completely unusual. It doesn't happen very often for somebody to ask to switch seats for whatever reason. You know, they want to sit closer to their fam or whatever the fuck, right? But on American this weekend, for whatever reason, I got on the plane and it's already somebody sitting in my seat, and they go, "Oh, you don't mind, do you?" Because yeah, bitch, I mind. The fact that because the thing is, it could be a perfectly reasonable request, but the fact that you didn't ask me,
if you had let me sit down,
right? If you let me sit down and then explain the situation, I'd have said yes. You know, so long as it's not a downgrade in my seat.
Sure.
I'm not switching to your middle seat. You know that ain't gonna happen. You know not to even ask. I've never seen a middle seat motherfucker ask me to take that. You know what I'm saying? But this happened where one dude, I got on the plane and he was sitting in my seat, and I was like, "Hey, this is my seat," and he was like, "Yeah, I'm allergic to cats." So the ladies that was sitting beside him, his seat, had a cat in a cat carrier. She said, "Yeah, I'm allergic to cats." So yeah, and I'm like, "Yeah, what? That ain't got shit to do with me." You know what I'm saying?
didn't make you allergic.
Yeah, bring some motherfucking what they call it, Claritin, motherfucker. What that got to do with me? Get your ass out my seat. Because that's the thing, people because nothing pisses me off more than people trying to use. They try to use your kindness mixed with your shame against you. It was like, no, you're the person being rude right now. You took my seat and hoped that I wouldn't mind. You didn't ask me if you could have it.
Or that I would mind, but I don't want to make a scene, or I don't want to seem like an asshole, so I'm just going to shrink away.
But I'm telling you right now, you fucking with the wrong one. So then, on the next flight, the same thing happened. I walk into my seat, but it's a lady this time. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you don't mind that we switch because my daughter is right there." And blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't give a fuck. That don't have nothing to do with me. You should have sat in your seat and asked me after. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but my daughter, I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Brian, get this out of your system now, because a year from now, you're going to be too famous to be pulling this shit.
Nah. I will always forever check a rude motherfucker, especially when they can't beat me in a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was one dude today where I kept quiet. Because that's the thing. Whenever I keep quiet, I always beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for me, the most paralyzing part of the flights. And when I was a young man, I'm glad it wasn't as much like this, because I was so aggressive that I would have definitely gotten in a fight. But the way people stand up when the plane land,
that drives me up the fucking wall.
It drives me insane in the way, because it's like, because here's what's so infuriating about it. People will stand up and try to rush off the plane and be the first one off the plane. So they'll cut in front, because it's like, if we just orderly, if we deplane in an orderly fashion, everybody can get off quick. It's efficient. But what happens is the plane lands, everybody stands up. So now you're slowing everything down because you're standing in the aisle. Some people have their bags are behind you because there was no room or whatever. And it's like, just sit down and wait until they get to your row, right?
The one that drives me up the wall is we'll be coming in because a lot of LA flights you're connecting different places, right? Because you're going across the country. We're all the way on the fucking west side of the fucking country, right? So you'll land in Charlotte or Chicago or Houston or whatever, and they'll say on the loudspeaker on the PA, they'll say, there are lots of people on this flight with connecting flights. Some of them are tight connecting flights. If you do not have a connecting flight, please sit when we land and stay seated so that the people who have connecting flights can get off the plane first and make their connecting flights. And every single time we land, everybody stands up.
Everyone. Not everyone. But there'll be like...
I shouldn't say everyone.
There'll be like 10 of us looking at each other in solidarity. Like these fucking trash
enough people to fuck it up.
Enough people, because most people are garbage. And you can tell by how they behave in that situation. They're garbage people. And here's the thing, too. The same motherfucker that stands up like they absolutely got to get off the plane before their heart stops, they'll get out on that walkway and then move slow than the motherfucker. So now when they get on the walkway, it's a straight line. And then all of a sudden, they're not in a fucking hurry. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
The ones that bother me, though, is because it's the same shit. Like, if you're driving on the highway out here in LA and, like, there's traffic backed up on an exit, right? Because everybody's trying to get off on this exit for whatever reason. And traffic's moving slow, but it's moving, and then somebody tries to drive all the way up on the left side, pass everybody up, and then try to cut into the traffic at the very end so they can skip 80% of the traffic trying to get off on the exit.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same shit because they're the main character of the universe. They're the protagonist in their story, and so they always have a reason why the rules don't apply to them.
That's why, like, I'll hop out in the lane in front of them. Excuse me, it's not your turn, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Just throw an elbow out.
This is another thing that irritates the fuck out of me is I feel like some flight attendants they're like customer service people where it's like they've been what's the term? They politicized, like, they've been indoctrinated, where they start believing into the corporate bullshit. Cause like I get so tired of being harassed about my seat tray and my seat belt and my goddamn seat back when it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you don't really care, bitch. What's the reason that you have to have? What's the reason why you come back here and tell me that I got to put my seatbelt on because we landing?
Oh, if all the seatbelts aren't clicked, then the wheels don't come down.
Right. Because it's like because what they'll tell you is that, you know, in case we hit a bump or something, like we don't want nobody to fly to their seat or whatever. It's like that's never happened. I've been flying my whole life. I've never seen anybody fly to their seat. I've never seen any of that shit happen. So it's like, why are we pretending like this is the most important? Because the lady came and woke me up. I'm passed out. I got my CPAP on. I'm passed out. She woke me up. Excuse me, can you lift up your seat? Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. Came back. Blah blah blah. And I was sitting in the emergency aisle thing, and then the flight attendant sat right in front of me, facing me. And then she goes, right, as if I didn't already feel like a fat piece of shit. She goes, "Is your seatbelt connected? Is your seatbelt connected?" I'm like, what difference does it make, bitch? You can't tell. Do you need it? Do you need to know? And keep in mind, by this point, the plane, the wheels have already touched the ground. And she's still worried about, it's like, are you so...
Like what, you're going to hit a banana peel and the whole thing's going to flip over?
Are you so stupid that, like I told you, I've never seen, but I've had plane rides where, like, I was literally in the bathroom while we were landing. They don't care about that. You can take a piss while we landing. We could hit turbulence while we landing. Because that's the other thing. They tell you can take off your seatbelt, but then they tell you not to. You know, we have the seatbelt. When we turn it off, you're allowed to stand up, but you should still keep it on. It's like, then what the fuck is the light for? And this thing is, I have a lot of frustrations about the airport, and I'm sure everybody shares them. You know, and airplane material is like the hackiest material, but good God Almighty. I feel like it's gonna come bursting out in my material because there's so many things I get frustrated about.
Well, and comedians have to fly all the fucking time. That's one of the reasons.
but I'm telling you, I mean, like, but what I guess my frustration with the flight attendants, not all of them, most of them be cool as shit. But it's almost like when you're talking to a customer service person and they know that their company is on some bullshit, and instead of just, because all I need from those people is just a glimpse of like, we're both people and you know this is bullshit. Like, I know you got to read the script and I know you got to do whatever the supervisor says or whatever, but just be a human for a moment and acknowledge that what's going, like with the shit I was going through with Best Buy. It's like, just acknowledge to me for a second that you realize how stupid this is. That's all I need from you. You can't, like, you being a true believer in the bullshit is what's frustrating me. So it's like, sometimes it's like, I feel like, or maybe it's like, this is a little bit of power you have. So you feel like you gotta exercise it. Where you like, yeah. It's like you want. I don't know. You know, I'm gonna get feedback from all the fucking rule followers out there. You fucking. You know what? And if you take their side on this, I hope the
plane does crash.
Yeah, I hope you have an inverted clitoris. I hope it's like an innie, like a belly button.
Oh.
Yeah. Same thing with your penis. Depending on what you have or had. That's how I feel. Don't forget, speaking of penises and clitorises, BS20 will get you 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com.
Hell yeah.
If you have any questions, complaints, concerns, email us at BSwithBrianSimpson@gmail.com. And for my future tour dates, which will also be in the description, go to
BrianSimpsonComedy.com.
All right, go to BrianSimpsonComedy.com because the people that own BS Comedy wouldn't sell it to me for cheap. Those fucking cunts.
Shit.
Yeah, BrianSimpsonComedy.com for my tour dates and future tickets. Next week, this week I'm on tour with Tom Segura, Tommy Boy. Next week I'm going to be in, the following week, that's August 4th, 5th, and 6th, I'm going to be in Springfield, Missouri for now. And then that's it all the way past my birthday. Be the Addison Improv in Texas on August 25th, 26th, and 27th. Also, don't forget, September 8th, 9th, and 10th, I'm going to be at the San Francisco Punchline. So you keep asking me when I'm coming to the Bay, when I'm coming back to the city, when I'm coming down to Tejas. All those things are happening in the next month and a half. So go to BrianSimpsonComedy.com, buy those tickets right now, and I'll see y'all next week.